Hello my friends, in this video we'll be taking a look at the autosomal DNA predicted phenotype traits and GED match results of 4 Bolshoi Oleni Ostrov samples. I've already made a video on the first sample. Make sure that you will be able to find it. I will probably leave it as a suggested video at the end of this one, but you can also find it on my channel. It's Bolshoi Oleni Ostrov 001. These are the other 4 genomes from Bolshoi Oleni Ostrov. They all date to Bronze Age. They are both these Proto-Sami early Uralic speakers that arrived to Europe. Now, the 002 and 004 genomes are men, and both of these men have paternal lineage N1A1, which is nowadays the Finno-Ugric lineage that dominates in Finland. We are going to start with the appearance of 002. He's got dark brown color eyes, snub-shaped nose, and black hair. When it comes to the eye shape prediction for him, based on 10 S&Ps, it's Oceanian, followed by East Asian, followed by Amerindian. And hair shape prediction for him, based on 5 S&Ps, is straight, followed by wavy, followed by curly, last place come kinky. He does not have blue eye haplotype 1 or any of the blue eye haplotypes that follow. Very dark color of eyes and hair. Because of that, he also has darker non-European skin tone and other coloring related traits based on his genotype in SLC 45A2. And he does not have any draft variants in MC1R, which is the ginger gene. However, he does have some light color genotypes, as I've listed them on the screen. It's IRF4, TIRP1, SLC24A4, OCA2. There is even a genotype that he has in OCA2 that's predictive of BEH1. However, he does not actually have BH1 despite this genotype, so still very, very dark. As you can see, my NOSHACOT takes all of them into account, and taking all of them into account, he's still got dark brown color eyes and 98% likelihood of black hair, very dark individual. Now we're moving on to Bolshoi Oleni Ostrov 003. She's got dark brown color eyes, snub-shaped nose, and black hair once again. Her hair shape prediction based on 6 S&Ps is that she has straight hair. Her eye shape prediction is actually that she has Estonian or South Asian or Amerindian eye shape, with Estonian dominating in the percentages. That's why I actually depicted her looking more sort of West Eurasian, or you could say Caucasoid. She does not have East Asian EDAR, and she likely has blue eye haplotype 1. We don't know for sure. She does not have blue eye haplotype 4 or 3 or 2. And she has darker non-European skin tone based on her genotypes in SLC 45A2. She does not have any derived variants in MC1R. And she actually has some other light coloring variants that I wrote on the bottom right of the screen. They are not very significant. They are not particularly important, except the one that I highlighted in red, which is often predictive actually of BEH2. Now we're moving on to Bolshoi Oleni Ostrov 004. This is a boy. He actually has brown eyes instead of dark brown, although in my eye picture you don't really see any difference here, but he does have brown eyes rather than dark brown, a slightly lighter shade of brown eyes. He's got snub-shaped nose. All 4 of them have snub-shaped nose, and he has black hair once again. Very decisively black hair, not even a percentage, not even a single percentage point of brown or red or blonde, anything other than black. He does not have blue eye haplotype 1 or any of the blue eye haplotypes that follow. He is heterozygous for East Asian EDAR. His hair prediction is that he has straight hair, and his eye shape prediction is that he has East Asian eye shape, which is why I depicted him looking very East Asian in terms of appearance. He has darker non-European eye, hair, skin, and eye, hair, and skin color based on his genotypes in SLC 45A2. He actually has 2 European hunter-gatherer blue eye, red hair, pale skin variants in IR4, which is very surprising because it's super European hunter-gatherer. Like every European hunter-gatherer had this, but nowadays Northern Europeans don't really have derived variants in IRF4 all that much. The only people in Europe who do are like Irish people, and pretty much Irish and Scottish people are the ones who have derived variants in IRF4 at the highest frequency. Like in Finland nowadays, you don't really see derived variants in IRF4 all that much, although it was a hunter-gatherer, very predominant in the hunter-gatherer community of Europe. He does not have any derived variants in MC1R variations, and he's not a ginger. And finally, we're moving on to the last person, which is Bolshoi Oleni Ostrov 005. She's got brown color eyes, once again not dark brown, but brown instead. She's got a snub-shaped nose and black hair. Her hair shape prediction based on 9 S&Ps is actually that she has wavy hair followed by straight, although straight does come at number 2, and then there's curly, and last place there's kinky. Her eye shape prediction based on 16 S&Ps is that she has Amerindian eye shape first, followed by Estonian, followed by Oceanian. She is either heterozygous for blue eye haplotype 1 or homozygous for blue eye haplotype 1, the probability of homozygous genotype being slightly higher, and she's actually heterozygous for blue eye haplotype 4, which is kind of crazy. It's crazy for the reason that blue eye haplotype 4 is most common in Basque people, and it's pretty much absent in Northern Europe. So it's maybe she could have picked it up from some kind of Indo-European admixture, I don't know, but she is heterozygous for blue eye haplotype 4. It's just a fact. The mechanism of how this mutation reached her, I don't really know exactly, but it is what it is. She's got lighter European skin tone based on her genotypes in Keto G, SLC 24A5, and ASIP. She actually does have 2 derived variants in the Eurasian white skin mutation, SLC 24A5. She has darker non-European skin tone based on her genotypes in SLC 45A2. And she does not have any derived variants in the EDAR. She also has the European hunter-gatherer blue eye and red hair and pale skin IRF4 variants in IRF4, and she does not have any derived variants in MC1R, not a ginger, although this IRF4 genotype would predispose to her to a slightly higher odds of ginger hair. For the GD match portion of the video, we're going to be looking at Bolshoi Oleni Ostrov 004. It's the highest quality file. They all score pretty much similar stuff to each other, but since this file is the highest in terms of coverage, we're going to use this for the GD match results. This is what he scores with Eurogenes K13. As you can see, there is actually not anything southern here, but there is a lot of affinities to South Asia and Siberians and Amerindians. It's pretty much, actually it seems to be more East Asian and Asian than it is European. If you count the North Atlantic and the Baltic as European components, together they only make up, it looks like 47% of his ancestry is European. Just based on the result here. And with the Oracle, he's getting modeled as a mixture of Mari plus Chukchi, or Mari plus Karyak, basically a mixture of Mari, which are Finno-Ugric people in Russia, plus something even more Eastern. Mari, by the way, are not at all similar to Finnish people in terms of genetics, like not whatsoever. Mari people are actually very Eastern themselves. Mari are, I guess, like a more Eastern version of Samis. This is what he scores with MDLPK16 modern. As you can see, there is actually 13.8% steppe. There is some steppe admixture here. I think the entirety of its southern admixture is steppe. I don't think they have any European farmer admixture here. I may be wrong, but it doesn't. It would seem really weird. How would European farmer admixture get into this location in the Bronze Age? With the Oracle, they're closest to Mansis and Hans, and they're actually getting modeled as a mixture of, the closest model is Sami plus Ket, and Sami from Lapland plus Ket is a very northern result, and even that is too northern, because you can see the distance is 10.5. That's because the Sami are a lot more Mediterranean than these people. This is what he scores with MDLPK23B. It's the fourth skeleton, so it's a male. He does have some South Central Asian here, and it seems like all of the southern admixture here is from like Caucasus or West Asian source. It doesn't look like there's any farmer admixture, which would make it even more difficult to explain how there's blue eye haplotype 4 here. But I guess you could make the claim that blue eye haplotype 4, although it's most common in Basques, actually derives from CHG, and the Basques just kind of picked it up from the Yamnans. You could make that claim because I've seen a lot of Yamnans with blue eye haplotype 4, and so far I haven't seen any European farmers with this mutation. It seems very weird because it's most common in the Basques people, but maybe there is some truth to it. Maybe it's not a farmer mutation. I don't know. I haven't done enough samples to make a claim here yet, but this individual does score some Caucasus hunter-gatherer. In every calculator that includes a Caucasus hunter-gatherer component, they score Caucasus hunter-gatherer, and basically very Eastern result. Very Northern and very Eastern. There is no farmer admixture here whatsoever. And with Ancient Eurasia K6, you can see actually not a lot of ancestral North Eurasian, not as much as you would expect. Most of it is East Asian here, and only 24.6% A and E admixture, although in this calculator A and E does tend to get modeled as West European hunter-gatherer plus A and E, so maybe it's not a very reliable result. With the Oracle, this individual is getting modeled as a mixture of Kalmyk plus steppe in Neolithic, which would be like Khvalinsk, but in terms of their steppe in Neolithic source, if you look at the numbers, it seems more like a Samara hunter-gatherer. It seems more like an Eastern hunter-gatherer rather than Khvalinsk, so it's basically a mixture of East Asian plus Eastern hunter-gatherer. Is what it is if you interpret if you do a couple mental gymnastics and interpret this result the way it really is supposed to be. With Gidrosia K3, this individual is slightly more West Eurasian than East Eurasian, and I will remind you, this is a result that's applicable to all 4 genomes. They all score pretty much the same thing. Now we're going to be looking at the results with my trait predictor tool. We're going to start with the second individual, the second skeleton. I think it's a boy. Yeah, it's a guy. It's a boy. The way I remember it is that all of the even number skeletons are boys, and all the odd ones are girls. So he has one derived no-go learner variant in DRD2 spirophrenesin pro, so intermediate number of dopamine D2 receptor sites in the brain. He does not have the A allele in this variation of DRD2, so slightly lower risk of schizophrenia and nicotine dependence. This is the typical genotype for most humans. He does not carry the European lactose persistence mutation. He does not have the European mutation that allows Europeans to digest lactose. Neither do I. I'm full-blooded European. I don't have this mutation. He has TT genotype in this variation of OXTR, which is associated with decreased OXTR expression and lower levels of empathy, as well as higher risk of autism. He does not have type 1 diabetes, and he has a genotype here, which means higher odds of Alzheimer's disease. This is one of the pretty important variations for Alzheimer's. He does not have micro P. You know what that is? I can't pronounce that for YouTube because, I have to stay PG-13 here. But no micro P, no fat gene variants, and FTOs RS9939609, not obese. No predisposition towards obesity, I should say. Better performing muscles, likely sprinter rather than endurance athlete. He has a G genotype in this variation of SCN9A, which means one variant for increased pain sensitivity. Interesting. And we're going to look at his polygenic risk scores right now. For the polygenic risk scores, he basically has a super low risk of schizophrenia, or 1/4 of the risk of schizophrenia for Northern Europeans. He has average odds of diabetes, type 2 diabetes, and he has slightly higher than average odds of Alzheimer's. So that's our individual. That's the second individual. Now we're going to move on to, after we reset everything, we're going to move on to the third individual. We're going to take a little time for it to process. By the time it asks you to enter the name, everything's already processed. Okay, so we're going to enter 3. Right, so this individual also has one derived no-go learner variant in DRD2 spirophrenesin pro. Once again, intermediate number of dopamine D2 receptor sites in the brain. And this individual does not have long form 5-HTTLPR, so this individual has short form 5-HTTLPR, just like most of you guys, just like pretty much like 90% of humans have short form 5-HTTLPR. So most of you guys have short form 5-HTTLPR, slightly higher odds of depression. Not me though, not me, because I have long form 5-HTTLPR. This individual does not carry the European lactose persistence mutation, and once again, sociopath genotype in OXTR based, well, with OXTR, we really want to know this genotype right here, but since this is not in the file, we're going to have to go with this one. So if you just go by this genotype right here, it's TT, decreased OXTR expression, lower levels of empathy, and higher odds of autism, sociopath genotype. For type 1 diabetes, GG here, which leads to lower risk of type 1 diabetes, and GG here, which leads to lower odds of type 2 diabetes. Type 1 and type 2 diabetes are actually very, very different. Type 1 is something you're born with. Type 2 is something you develop as you continue living. Type 2 is basically just a resistance, a natural tolerance to insulin. You eat so much sugar, you eat so much foods that are high in sugar content that you develop a tolerance to it, and you need more and more and more to satisfy your body's needs, because it adapts. No micro P. Once again, I'm not going to spell that out for you, but no micro P. And not a carrier of any of the albinism mutations. Now we're going to look at the polygenic risk scores. For polygenic risk scores, this is the third skeleton, right? That's the third. So this is the woman, and she's got slightly above average odds of schizophrenia for Northern Europeans. She's got average odds of type 2 diabetes, and she's got pretty much average odds of Alzheimer's as well. All right, we're going to reset all the scores now, and we're going to move on to the fourth skeleton, which is a man. Fourth skeleton is a man. They don't have much like distinctive qualities. It's not like one of them has blue eyes so that I could remember, oh yeah, that's the blue-eyed guy. No, I'm just kind of remembering by numbers. All right. they all kind of look the same, which was a surprise to me. I didn't expect them to all look the same. So the fourth skeleton has AG genotype and Comets-Valmet variation, meaning Valmet genotype, intermediate speed of dopamine reuptake, and intermediate dopamine levels. What about MAOA? He's got GG genotype and this variation of MAOA. So actually higher MAOA enzyme activity, which means warrior genotype, which is kind of non-European. Not to say that if you're a European you can't have warrior genotype, it's just that most Europeans tend to have the warrior genotype instead, at least most Northern Europeans. Actually, I don't know if it's Northern or Southern. I don't know. I think it's just Europeans in general. So this individual, the fourth individual, has one no-go learner variant in DRD2 spirophoretin pro variation, intermediate number of dopamine D2 receptor sites in the brain, and intermediate likelihood of schizophrenia. He has AG genotype in this variation of DRD2, which is implicated in slightly increased number of dopamine D2 receptor sites in the brain and slightly increased likelihood of schizophrenia. So it's the A allele here that leads to this increased odds of schizophrenia and more dopamine D2 receptor sites. It's a guy, right? Yeah, it's a guy. So this guy also does not have long form 5-HTTLPR. Once again, he's got short form 5-HTTLPR. And he does not carry any of the European lactose persistence mutations. He's got heterozygous genotype here, which means one variant for more OXTR expression, one variant for less, basically intermediate between the sociopath and the empath genotype. For type 2 diabetes, there's nothing for type 2 diabetes here. For type 1 diabetes, does not have type 1 diabetes. And he's not a carrier for any of the for cis282-TIR. Hemochromatosis mutation. I don't know about the other two because that's not in the file. He does not have APOE2 alleles in APOE, so probably does not have Alzheimer's. And okay, no micro-P once again. No fat gene variants in FTOs RS9939609, so not obese once again. Does not have photic sneeze reflex, and we're going to scroll past all of this. We're going to look at polygenic risk scores. Polygenic risk scores for him is that he has slightly below average odds of schizophrenia for Northern Europeans, slightly above average odds of type 2 diabetes, and slightly above average odds for Alzheimer's compared to people in general. I don't separate it by ethnicity here. Okay, now we're going to look at Bolshoi Oleni Ostrov 5. If you run your file through this tool, through Trait Predictor on your smartphone, for example, it's going to take you more time than if you do on a computer. Just a little fun fact. Okay, so the fifth cut, actually pretty interesting here. This guy has AA in Comets-Valmet variation, meaning MED genotype. So this is a warrior genotype, very stereotypically European genotype to have. Basically, much less activity of the COMT enzyme, therefore slower breakdown of dopamine, therefore more dopamine accumulating in the system, and advantages in attention tasks and motivation tasks, disadvantages in stress resilience. You know what that is. If you've been watching my content for a while, you probably caught on to that. But if this is the first video you watch from my channel, I'm just gonna drop this bit of information on you right now. So also two derived no-go learner variants in DRD2 spirophoretin pro variation, definitely a no-go learner. Much lower odds of schizophrenia, less dopamine D2 receptor sites in the brain. However, he does not have the A allele in TAC1. So the A allele in TAC1 is kind of more impactful in terms of the dopamine D2 receptor sites, the availability of them. If you have the A allele in TAC1, it's like a 20 or a 40% decrease, a very drastic decrease in the availability of dopamine D2 receptor sites in the brain. Compared to the no-go learner spirophoretin pro variation, this is actually the more important genotype here. And this individual does not have the A allele. So typical genotype for most humans, slightly higher number of dopamine D2 receptor sites in the brain and lower risk of ADHD and alcoholism. That comes at a price. The price is slightly increased risk of schizophrenia, but that doesn't matter all that much because schizophrenia is super rare and there's a lot more other than genetics that goes into developing it. This individual does not have long form 5-HTTLPR. Once again, this individual has short form 5-HTTLPR and slightly higher odds of depression, which is the typical genotype, the typical stuff for pretty much everybody. This individual does not carry the European lactose persistence mutation and sociopath genotype in OXTR and no type 1 diabetes and also no hemochromatosis variants. Okay, no hemochromatosis. We're going to skip all that. No micro-P, you know what that is. I have to talk about this for a little bit. Better performing muscles, likely sprinter rather than endurance athlete. One fat gene variant in FTOs, RS9939609. And we're going to scroll past all of this into polygenic risk scores. Once again, very high, very low actually very low odds of schizophrenia, slightly above average odds of diabetes, and pretty much average odds of Alzheimer's. That's pretty much all there is. Oh, I made it into 10. I made it into 10 minutes. Good job to me. Thanks for watching the video until the end. You can download all files in 23andMe format from link which is in the description, and leave a like and subscribe if you enjoy my content. Goodbye.